Okay, let's talk Luftwaffe, aircraft. One of the things that the Germans failed to do, remember, the war was supposed to end by 1940-41. And to set the stage for looking at the problems that they had with the Panther, it can be parallel and brought over to the difficulties they had with their Luftwaffe. With the early victories in the West, and you can tick them off real easily, you got Poland, you got Denmark, you got Norway, Luxembourg, Belgium, France, then you go east to Greece, you had North Africa, Rommel still fighting there. They were fighting Western democracies with Western ideology of, if you fight the good fight and you can't continue, you should seek terms of surrender, or release, or truce in place. When he turned east and attacked the Union of Soviet Social Republics, all bets were off. Because he was now attacking another totalitarian dictator, a cult leader like Stalin, just like Hitler was. The Germans realized with the failure of Operation Barbarossa on December 5th, 1941, when Russia didn't throw in the towel, when they were only 8 to 10 miles from the Kremlin, and they weren't seeking peace terms, the whole war changed complexion completely right there. They realized that this was going to be grabbing a tiger by the tail and not being able to let go, and that's literally what happened. But part of the problem Germany had was reaching the resource bases of its enemies. The most difficult one to reach, of course, would have been the United States, protected by its vast ocean, large country. And the same thing could be said of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Russia. Remember those 11 time zones we talked about? In the opening months of the German invasion of the Union of Soviet Social Republics, one of the things that Stalin immediately charged its economic minister with is, I want you to get every war industry that's in the path of the German advance on a rail train heading to the Ural Mountains and further points east. And you've got a month to do it. To parallel that to the United States example, can you imagine someone coming to Pennsylvania or Ohio or New York and saying, I need everything that you have in industrial war plant moves west of the Mississippi by the end of October. Disruption, chaos, it's exactly what it was. But being under the heel of Stalin's totalitarian government, if you didn't move fast enough, you had to answer to the NKVD. That meant the Gulag or execution immediately. It's the amazing thing that I kept coming back time and time again with my friends on my websites in Russia, is the amount of discipline and order that Stalin was able to demand from his people, as well as Hitler did after 1943, when things became very, very oppressive for both those nations. So what the Germans were unable to do is attack the source of the Allied weapons production area. Anything east of the Ural Mountains in Siberia and Russia, and anything to do with the United States. The two arsenals of democracy, if you would. One communist, one, of course, democratic. So what I wanted to do is just read you a quick blurb about the difficulty of that. With the widening war and the communist and democratic governments of England, the US and Soviet Union were not knuckling under. The bluster and blather, as well as the sharpness of Germany's army spearhead, was losing its edge. The vast distances of the Soviet Union, some 11 time zones of landmass, as well as the protective barrier of the North Atlantic Ocean between the Western and Eastern hemispheres, Germany had no way of reaching these now vital parts of the enemy's productive areas to interdict, disrupt, and destroy the engines that were supplying their armies, navies, and air forces with weapons, food, and ammunition. What Germany now needed was a weapon or means of transport that could reach these regions, and it was found wanting. The successful industrial relocation by the Soviet Union of its factories, mills, and plants to the Ural Mountains and parts further east put these vital industries out of the reach of German destruction. The same was true of breaking the supply line with the United States. However, here, the U-boat weapon was and continued to do that just until it was defeated until May of 1943. Germany was now faced with attempting to outproduce the two largest economies on the planet, the US and USSR. It was a recipe for defeat. Germany had now the unenviable task of having to defeat a growing stream of men, tanks, trucks, artillery, ammunition, aircraft, and food that it had no way of reaching and achieving. By late 1942, it was now obvious that a long-range aircraft with a bomb load capable of inflicting significant damage on the Allies' productive capacity was desperately needed. Although designs had been put on hold or terminated, were resurrected, such as the Heinkel HE-177 program, and efforts to utilize the more delicate civilian machines to substitute for military-capable aircraft, such as the Focke-Wulf FW-200, that's the Condor. Also a four-engine bomber. It was too little, too late, especially now that the military situation for Germany was in decline. These machines and their deployment was needed in 1940, or no later than 1941. But by late 1943 and 1944, it was too late to change the course of the war. So there is that short timeline that Germany was planning to, because Germany's industrial base, is impressive it might seem in Goebbels' propaganda photos, was really quite small. Frederick the Great said the only way the Prussian state could win war was by Kurz und Wies. Kurz und Wies is a German term for quick and fast and short. That's where the whole term blitzkrieg came into effect. You know, punch them hard, punch them to the point where they don't know what's going on, envelop them, and quickly call it quits. Because we don't have the ability to do the one thing that Russia and the United States could do, was fight a war of attrition. The unending streams of men, equipment, tanks, airplane, especially food. Food is very a vital weapon of war, and especially in the Union of Soviet Social Republics. By 1943, food had become such a valuable commodity, it was replacing the ruble for a means of exchange for purchasing anything with Russia. Money had become valueless because you couldn't buy anything. But you have to eat. So, any questions on that strategic approach to looking at that? Okay, how are we doing on time? Oh, it's halfway through, Alice? Okay.